This just proves they're building something special. It's essential for teams to hit on draft picks if they want to find their way up the standings. Some Devil players on notice. Implications. Let's talk. Welcome, Devil fans. Glad you're here today. We want you to stick around. Hit the subscribe button as we continue into the offseason and talk all things Devils. We want to hear your guys' takes as well. So, a few episodes ago, I talked about, the Devils maybe not being a top prospect pool right now. And how that's, not necessarily a bad thing. Some years you really do want to be picks 32, 30 toward the top of the draft just means you have a better team. Devils are a team that have had a few top 5 picks. It's time to move off of that. It's time to, yes, you want to have a good prospect pool, but it's not the worst thing in the world when you're picking towards the top of the draft. You want to find a way to get value, but you're looking to be good in the NHL. You're looking to get those guys who you did take in the top 5 to develop into your system. So Devils not in a bad spot with having, maybe not the best prospect pool, maybe average to below average prospect pool. But Pronnman came out with his U23 rankings, and a few Devils made the list. Number 5, Luke Hughes. Look, this one I don't think shocks anyone. We think about Luke Hughes, the type of year he had last year. Over 40 points again. Finished the year with 22 points in his last 22 games. Really took over when Dougie Hamilton went out. This is a guy, when you drafted him 4th overall, this is the trajectory you wanted to see. Luke Hughes, to this point, has been everything that we thought to being, a top 5 pick. He's been able to handle top power play minutes. He's been able to fill in for when defensemen are out. He's shown the offensive upside. Defensively, he's getting better. That's where Pronnman kind of points to. Maybe the only downside of Luke Hughes is, his defensive game. Numbers defensively looked a lot better than they did year 1, but maybe, he's not that shutdown defenseman. That's okay. You don't need that when you have your number 1 offensive defenseman. The way the game is trending, it's an offensive first league. Teams are winning through offense. Luke Hughes is showing that he can be that number 1 defenseman and with definitely that number 1 offensive power play defenseman. That's what you want out of a Luke Hughes. That's what they're getting. And Pronnman went on to finish with star number 1 defenseman seeing into the future. Luke Hughes as a number 1 defenseman, completely agree. From seeing the trajectory he's been on so far, the development, what his brothers are, how he skates, everything kind of says Luke Hughes is going to be a star in this league one day. Like I said, the game, it's going to an offensive game. It's an offensive league. Skating is great. The NHL, we see the players getting drafted high. Who do we talk about? What do they all have in common? The Nathan McKinnons, the Connor McDavids, the Cale Makars, Quinn Hughes, Jack Hughes. They're great skaters. Luke Hughes is a great skater. So Luke Hughes finishes top on the list, number 5 ranking. He wasn't the only Devil on the list. Anton Silayev, 33rd on the list. Now, you look at Silayev, 10th overall pick by New Jersey. After a year where, things maybe didn't go the right way, we saw a lot of defensemen get hurt, and that really hurt the Devils. Goaltending was a problem. Defensive injuries are a problem. Tom Fitzgerald, well, we know he likes to take defensemen. We know he likes to take defensemen. He likes to take them early. Even if they're not slotted to go where they are, he'll take them. We look at it, Shane Wright, kind of the consensus number 1 overall pick going into that draft. He was still on the board. Yeah, they went Simone Nemec. Probably could have gotten him at 6 or 7. So Tom Fitzgerald clearly likes his defensemen. He likes them early. And with Silayev and to Pronnman's point, which definitely is something to look at and it makes sense, is you look at Silayev's game this year. And when we were looking at Silayev's numbers, they don't shout off the page. He's not a defenseman who his numbers, kind of glare at you and you're like, oh, wow. He's not that type of defenseman. And what we looked from this year, what Pronnman kind of points out, he did take a dip back. He was not as good this season. And that has a few things to do with it. You saw how he was his rookie year. Year 2, there wasn't really any jump. You wanted to see that jump. When you draft guys inside the top 10, you're drafting off upside. At the end of the day, you're drafting off what you think they can develop into. You're going upside with your top 10 picks. You're rarely going safety. I mean, sometimes you want to go with the safe pick, and I know that gets thrown around. Oh, that was the safe pick. Well, I guarantee you that team doesn't go, well, this is a safe pick. No, they're going off the upside. Lifespans for GMs in the NHL, they're short. They're not trying to, we'll be safe here. No, they don't want to miss. They don't want to miss on a guy with upside. So when you look at Anton Silayev and the upside with Silayev and how it went this year, maybe a little bit disappointing. But when you look at Silayev, 6'7", can cover the ice, has the qualities to be a defenseman. It's just about putting all of it together, putting the offense together, being in the right spot defensively, being able to be in positions, to be able to use that 6'7" frame, to be able to use the physicality, to be able to use his stick, to be able to be and develop into one of those top defensemen that the Devils want. Corey Pronnman has him going as a top 4 defenseman in his career. So top 4 defenseman, and that's where he's looked at right now to kind of project out to become a top 4 defenseman. When you look at it, 10th overall, you get a top 4 defenseman, and you're kind of building a young blue line. It would be good until you go Simon Nemec at 55. And now, we saw Simon Nemec at the end of last season. Looked a lot better. Looked like a defenseman, more comfortable, was able to make plays. Obviously, that great goal in the playoffs last year. A defenseman who, we look at 2nd overall pick and where they were. Obviously, Shane Wright still on the board, and they went Simon Nemec. So this is a player where maybe Tom Fitzgerald's going to get more judged. But beside that, and beside taking him 2nd overall with a Shane Wright, with a Logan Cooley still on the board, if Anton Silayev, Simon Nemec are both just top 4 defensemen, not a special top 4 defenseman, just able to fill a role of top 4 defenseman. Well, that's 2 top 10 picks Tom Fitzgerald picked at the same position that just did not have that upside. And that's just at defense. You go over to Alexander Holtz. Well, he's gone now. They moved off Alexander Holtz after basically not giving him the complete chance, but they felt in a way that, it wasn't even worth that. I mean, Vegas seems to feel the same way about Alexander Holtz. Alexander Holtz looks like he's really, I don't know how much longer he's going to be in the NHL if he does get back into the NHL playing in the AHL right now. But if you look at that with Tom Fitzgerald, and how they scout and how they draft, taking Simon Nemec at 2, Anton Silayev at 10, and both players, kind of maybe took steps back after their draft year. I mean, that defensive class with Anton Silayev was flooded with defensive prospects. There were defensive prospects throughout that whole entire draft. And Anton Silayev, looked a little bit more like a project. It wasn't that offensive defenseman that teams are drafting today. He wasn't a Yves Bume. He wasn't a Zane Parekh. I mean, you look at those players, maybe you would have went with a more offensive defenseman-like player. I mean, you looked at that 2022 draft. Simon Nemec's offensive numbers looked nice, but would you maybe have gone a different way? Should you have maybe gone a different way? So I think when you look at it, Simon Nemec ranking 55, under 23, fair ranking. You need to have him higher, though. He has to get higher. Anton Silayev has to get higher. You have to be able to hit on your top 10 picks. I mean, you just have to at the end of the day. You want to be a good team. You don't want to be drafting high. You got to hit on your picks. This one they did hit on, though. Mikhail Yegorov, great year at Boston University. Over a .920 save percentage. Took him almost all the way to a championship. This is a hit. This is their best goaltending prospect since Mackenzie Blackwood. You look at him. He looks like a type of player who can play at the NHL level eventually. His hockey IQ, his athleticism, all looks fantastic. Reads a play very well. I mean, that really works out when you're a 6'5" goaltender. You want those type of abilities to be able to read plays, get in front of it. I mean, be able to use the best of your abilities. Mikhail Yegorov looks like he's doing that. Devils, 4 players. The other 23, Corey Pronnman's list, think all seem fair spots. Defensively, look, they need Simon Nemec or Anton Silayev to definitely get more toward, that Luke Hughes ranking. Not saying they're going to be 5. But you want to see them keep growing. That's what the Devils need. Getting closer to this season. Let me know in the comments. What did you think of the list? Let me know down below. Hopefully hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys all really soon.